Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back, as the case may be. Glad to have you here. I am still talking about how old age does not have to suck. And if you want to see more about my opinion on that, you can take a look at the video at the end of, I'll link it at the end of this one. I am talking about getting older as a married person, not as a single person or as a widowed person, because I don't know either one of those. I am married to a gentleman who is 9 years younger than I am. And you can make all the cougar jokes that you want, but I'm not actually a cougar. I think of myself more as an old tabby cat. Spade, not jumping on many chairs of late, and not chasing any mice, either to jump on a chair or to just chase them down. I just look at the mouse and say, stop pooping on stuff, and I pretty much leave them alone. But getting older is what it is. There's a lot of things that about it that I really enjoy, and that's part of what I'm going to be talking about today. What I won't be talking about is all the business about go buy me a coffee and all of the other things that create income. It's not really who I am, and it's not why I'm here. If you want to know why I'm here, just listen to the video. You'll find out. But one of the things I wanted to talk about today is about when I'm driving around and I see that fast food sign. You know the one I'm talking about. There are usually on Wendy's for some weird reason, but it says managers hiring, and or hiring managers or whichever. But I always end up thinking, yeah, I could do that. I could manage a fast food joint. I've managed a restaurant for a short period of time. I managed processes, I managed projects, and mostly, and this is where I always get to, I manage people. And bluntly, I hated managing people. Managing people stinks on ice. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And it is one of the reasons why I moved to grant writing at the end of my career, if you could call it a career. I liked grant writing because I was working by myself. Very few teams of grant writers work out there. Most nonprofit organizations only hire one grant writer, and you don't have to manage anybody. But at any rate, the main issues that I had with managing people came up in about 2008. I was working in the oil field, and bluntly, I had 18 women working for me, and we were managing the accounting of a quite large oilfield services company. And a rumor could beat me across the compound, and my fondest memory of that, if you want to call it that, is me standing in the trucking department telling the group of women that were usually the worst in terms of that hotbed of rumors that I didn't care if they thought I was a lesbian just because I wore cowboy boots and kept my hair short, as I still do. But what I did care about was the fact that they weren't doing their work while they were talking about my sexuality. And as I told them at the time, if I was getting any from anybody, I would have been in a lot better mood, among other things. At any rate, I ended up marrying my husband, who was the shop manager of this huge trucking fleet. That he was dealing with all of the mechanics for that, and he was freaking gorgeous, and the rumors finally stopped. It took a while, but at any rate, people will do what they do, and when they get bored, they talk. Well, the other worst part about it was the fact that it was 2008, and I was the one standing up in front of 100 men at a time telling them to please not pull their money out of their 401ks, because they were going to pay 40 cents on the dollar for doing that after they were laid off. I also knew that they were going to have to do that in order to keep their families fed. That was a hard time. And if you get in any way involved with the people that you work with, you find it hard to lay them off. And I had to lay off half of the women that work for me, not just once, but twice. And to say that that was one of the hardest times of my life is really underestimating what hard times are. I know it was hard for them as well, but that one kind of broke me. I never wanted to manage people again. I did in the end. I managed a set of proposal managers for Cisco systems, but I had to lay them off as well. And that's when I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. Any rate, all of those things said, that's a large part of why I don't like to manage. And it is the memories that come flooding back every time I look at one of those signs that says managers hiring, and that thought flits past my mind of I could do that. And then the other thought flits past my mind that says go home and make something. And that's the next thing. That's the transition that I'm making here, is that I go home and I do things. I write, I paint, I sew, I quilt, I crochet, I work with clay, I make purses to sell on Go Imagine. Well, I make purses and they are posted on Go Imagine. In order to call it selling something, you actually have to sell something, I think. And yeah, I haven't done any of that yet. I find it a little odd that I'm making purses because I never carried a purse. Back to that whole rumor from way back. I just didn't like it. I had a tendency to leave them behind me. But I like making them. And well, just in order to make sure that you know that I'm not just playing internet games, here are some of the things that I've made in recent years. This is made out of clay. It is a vase that was actually laid on top of a glass uh, shape that I bought at Dollar Tree. Nothing that I make is terribly expensive in terms of materials, I promise you. At any rate, that's the clay piece of it. I crochet, as I said. This is an Afghan that I made for my husband. I've knitted. I'm teaching myself to knit lately, which is just really a quick way to drive yourself crazy. But I did find that it's a lot easier to learn to knit if you use very bulky yarn. That's a whole nother video. As I said, I paint. This is one of the last purses that I've made. This is an acrylic painting that I have actually incorporated into the purse. And as you can see, I also quilt and I sew things together. The fabric here is supposed to be a reflection of the painting, and I'm really proud of this one, actually. And those are just some of the things. Right now, I'm teaching myself how to crochet hexagons, and this is the next purse that I'm working on. This is the body of it. Again, thrifted fabric, because it makes sense to me to keep using things that have been donated. But I wanted to do all that to show you that I'm playing. These things that I'm making allow me to get into what a very interesting gentleman called Csikszentmihalyi. And if you think that was easy to pronounce, you're wrong. But he's a psychologist, and one of the things he talked about was flow, which you've probably heard, particularly if you've been in the workforce in recent years. It's about that space where you feel like when you're done with it, you've woken up from a dream. That's what all of these pieces are to me. To be able to take this thing that did not exist when I began and bring it into the world is an act of creation that Csikszentmihalyi basically says is what separates us from the animals. Maybe he's right. I don't know. There are some animals that get very creative about very interesting things. But he also talks about flow. And that is the most amazing place for your mind to go, particularly a mind that's been working in the modern world and is able to simply shut everything else out for any length of time that suits you and create something that wasn't in the world when you started. It doesn't have to be a thing. All of this is the way that I get there. And bluntly, it's an addictive place to be, being in that flow state. My sister, who's an absolutely amazing human being, is doing research on the Jewish calendar, which I will not speak to because I don't understand it. But for her, I just spoke to her the other night. She stayed up all night long just working on one piece of research that backed up the theories that she's got about the way the calendar works. For her, that's her space. She is making something that wasn't in the world when she started. That's flow. That's how you get to a place where old age does not suck, where any age does not suck. I understand that sometimes it's hard to think of the ideas. I'm kind of on the other side of things. The ideas flood in, and I have to sort between them and say, no, I can't do everything. Not yet, anyway. But what's interesting is that there are just an enormous number of subjects that are out there. There's a very interesting lady, and I will link her channel in the description. I linked her channel in every description of every video that I write because she got me to the point where I felt like I could do what I'm doing right now. Because guess what? There's another thing that you can do, and that's videos. And that's the part where I write. I write a script for this. I break it down to an outline so that I can talk about it to you. She's a font of ideas as well, though. If that's what you need, if you don't believe that you can do it, that's one thing. And I didn't believe I could do it, but hello. At any rate, this is what they're talking about when they say you have to find your happiness and you have to find your joy. Flow goes past both of those. It gives you that space where you are creating something again, and I know I've said it already like 3 times, creating something that was not in the world when you started. That's how you know you're doing it right. Whatever you do, if you really want to make old age not suck, do that. That's how you know you're doing it right. And as I said, I'll link that video. And have a good day. I'll talk to you soon.